Hello and welcome to My Five. This is the DWTT channel. I'm Gary, and whew, as you can see, um, the score right above me, it was a really a bad game. Gonna try to be. I'm not gonna. I want to say I'm gonna try to be positive, but that doesn't make any sense. I'm just gonna try to get through this without making anybody cry. Hopefully, it's entertaining and you enjoy what I have to say. But first off, we'll talk about the game. Then we'll get into my five. I think the game has probably got a lot more to it than what we see here in my five, but we'll see. All right, so let's get into it. Looking at the lineup, looked at the lineup and things that stood out for me. Holding, Louise is hurt, so they need to put in a player. I was always hoping I would see Marie and Gabrielle kind of play the combo together because I don't think Gabrielle and Holding play well. So if it's going to be Holding, then I assume it's going to be Marie, but nope, they put Gabrielle, and we'll see how it goes. Chambers out on the right instead of Cedric. All right, maybe we're saving Cedric for, Thursday's game. Makes sense. Xhaka out, another negative for the game. And as far as we go, Partey's going to play Ceballos. Some people were contemplating maybe playing El Neni. You look at the game and you probably figure out where we may have gone, maybe should have gone. Then yeah, right there and right above them, you've got Pepe, Erdegaard, and Bamiyang. All right. Hmm. Bamiyang out on the left. I don't like that. Don't think he's good out there. Not in this structure. He was good last year, and it's always nice to go back and talk about the past. But today, it doesn't work on the left for him. He just does not fit into what we're looking to do with our wings. Pepe can do it, but he's not consistent. I think also he plays to the his teammates as well. If he's got certain teammates, he plays better. If he's got a lot of players around him doing things, he plays better. I think he's kind of impressionable in that way that if he has to do it himself, it's not going to happen. Then, like I said up top, kind of I like that in the way that Arteta wants to play. Like I said up top, works. All right, so let's get into the game. All right, so game starts off. I mean, my initial thoughts coming into this game were, you know what, Liverpool is, they've been struggling this season. They've lost some games that nobody expected. If you're going to catch them, you got to catch them now. I don't think next year is going to work. So you got to catch them now. You got to try to get something out of this game. We need every point we can get. They are a team without, their two of their best center backs. So why not try to attack them there? Aubameyang, Lacazette. I don't know if that puts any fear in any kind of center back pairing the way that we've been playing. But maybe Arteta had a plan. He thought it was going to work. It didn't work, as you can tell by the score. Um, we only got 3 shots on goal. 1 shot on goal in each half. 3 shots total. They they got 3 shots on goal. All of them went in, I believe, is the stat. So yeah, whatever attack we had going, it wasn't going to work. The players didn't come out, you know, knowing what they had to do, at least from what I can tell. There was just a repeat of the West Ham game. I was hoping that the second half of the West Ham game would be a trigger for the team and they can figure out how to play for Arteta and come out in this game and do it. But it looks like they took the first 30 minutes of that game and spent 90 minutes doing the exact same thing that they did in the first 30 of West Ham. So we got 90 minutes of it as opposed to learning from our mistakes and, ways to improve. I always say I like to see our team improve from game to game. We didn't do any of that. I mean, I don't know what we did positively that you can look at and say was better than what we did in the previous game. I mean, we got 2 weeks off, so everybody was rested. We lost some players by injury, and nothing positive came out of the 2 week break. So nothing there. For the first whatever 60 minutes, it was it's a draw game. Uh, we were trying to attack, I think. Trying is we're stretching, It was a really boring game, both sides. I mean, personally, I felt like when you listen to the commentary, and they talked about Jota not starting, and maybe they would bring him in later because his legs weren't good. I just thought back to the Leicester City. You've got Vardy on the bench if they need him to come in and maybe get something out of the game. They had their man on the bench, and turned out to be, the difference in the game for me, anyways. Also, the fact that we lost Kieran Tierney to an injury trying to come in, and his leg just doesn't go through. I think it was Milner. He tried to, he kicked and it went knee to knee, and his knee just did not work, and it didn't work, and he had to come off, which is scary now because do we have him for the rest of the season? Do we have him for the next game? Do we have him from 2 out of the next 3 games that we really need him for? That's disappointing. Saka and Mills Rowe being out didn't help, and so who knows how the Thursday game's gonna go. In general, we just looked like we didn't want to be there. We looked like we rolled over and died before the game even started. I mean, this is a typical game for me than what we've seen from the last time we played Liverpool and the 2 times we played City. It basically looked like a team that was, planning to not lose. And when you plan not to lose, you kind of do things worse, and you look even worse doing that. We needed to play our game. And I feel like no matter who we're playing, we need to somehow be able to institute what we do good in the game, and we did not. We weren't able to do that. Is that partly only the players? I think it's partly the players, partly the management. I mean, personally, I think if that's the way we're going to play, and if you saw that for the first 60 minutes, even for the first 45 minutes, maybe you change things around. Maybe you go to the back three like we've done in the past when we needed to lean on a structure that we know we can get something out of a game with. It would have been nice to maybe even bring in Martinelli a little bit earlier so we can get something out of the game. He seems to bring a lot of energy that we needed. Erdegaard is the only one that I think was given any kind of energy in that game, in the front four. Partey and him seem to definitely have that chemistry going, but you know, City's midfield basically, squashed any kind of, positives for us in that midfield, and we just did not, we weren't able to do it. Ceballos was having a really bad day. Uh, when's the last time he's had a good one, right? He's just been bad every time he's gone out there. Mm, Just don't think he's going to work out for us in the long term, and will he even last for the rest of the season? We'll see. So, what else do we have to say about the game? Yeah, it didn't work. Um, Bringing in El Neni, I'm not sure why we did that at that point. He came in, and then from there, I believe they responded with Jota, and that made the difference in the game for them, and I guess for us in the sense that, we went from a draw, 0-0 draw, to basically getting smashed, and we were lucky we only gave up the 3 goals. They were pretty much on top of us that whole last 30 minutes. So, I always like to say we need to jump on the team pretty fast and get something out of it early, and then try to hang on. And we just cannot hang on at the end if it's a close game based on what we saw, right? Um, you know, West Ham we were able to do it, but if you saw West Ham today, they also looked like they could have given up a 3 goal lead again. So, you know, I don't know if that's as much to do about us as it is about West Ham and how they play when they've got the lead. So that's how that looked. Luckily, they were able to get their win, but we just did not look good. Um, Anything else you want to talk about? Yeah, like I said, I would like to have seen Martinelli come in and play. Um, Listen to some of the commentary. Are we surprised? If you are, then you haven't been watching. I mean, I am surprised every time it happens because I expect us to do a little bit better, but we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be because the team has just basically shown us that they're not consistent enough to actually give us the same kind of play every time they come out there. Uh, yeah, they're just not. So we should not be surprised by it in the sense that we should know that it could come in any time, and seems to come against the big teams. And now we have a big game this Thursday. Let's see how we do there. They always seem to surprise us, sometimes positively and sometimes negatively. All right, so that's the game. I don't know, I'm trying to be good about it, but I don't think there's much positives in this game that we can talk about. We'll get into my five. I'll try to give you some information, about what I saw, what I felt about them. But oof, oof, yeah, just not what I wanted to, you know, just not what I liked. All right, so here we go. All right, so you've got my five. So we'll get into, I'll talk about you can see kind of how the order I have it. The order is kind of in, from what I liked and what I didn't like, I guess, in the game, and, actually, it's probably not, actually, I'll just talk about the players. It's not in the order, not in that order at all. All right, so first up, we'll talk about Odegaard. Odegaard. Um, I think he was really, I think he was actually pretty good in the game. I think they the midfield basically did what they were supposed to do in terms of nullifying his effects in the game. There was some interaction with Partey, but it didn't wasn't enough for us to make a difference in the game. He's good on the ball, but you know they had an answer for him, and he just didn't have enough support around him, and I think that's going to be basically repeated for pretty much everybody that played. We just didn't have the right support for anybody out there. Nobody out there had the support they needed to have a good game, which kind of to me means that the structure just wasn't good to start and then wasn't changed later to help support them when it was the realization came that we just were not going to get something out of this game with the structure and the players we had on the field. I like him. Hope he wants to stay, but this game probably, would sour anybody if they were thinking about, well, do I want to come back and play for this team? Hopefully, they're able to do that with some of their signings they do in the summer, but just, I don't know. Next up, we got Partey, similar to Erdiger. I think they nullified that middle of the field, and it affected two of our better players that we had in the game. You were able to make, the passes through, but there just wasn't anything there. I mean, the intent was to attack their center backs, but it didn't look like we even got even a chance. I mean, they just swallowed, basically, just nullified anything that we were going to do as far as getting to their center backs, and they covered them pretty nicely. I like to see us do that when we've got players on our team that just don't that aren't up to snuff and need some support. They supported their players, they went to their strengths and we just did not. I mean, I think we had some strengths. I don't think they were on the field or the structure just wasn't set up to benefit, show that they could benefit from it. Partey and Odegaard, I think we're in the same boat, just nothing around them to help them. They were kind of stranded out there. Odegaard didn't have much to his left with Aubameyang, and Pepe just, once again disappeared. Like I said, I mean, at one point I looked at the average position in Erdiger was in front of Lacazette. So, I mean, where is he supposed to go with the ball if your striker is behind you most of the game, on average? So that just it's not good. All right, so enough of those two. Let's move on to Aubameyang. I got him third here. Uh, on the left, I don't think that works. It worked last season, but this is not the same Arsenal. This is not the same structure. The roles are totally different. He needs to work harder. You see that when you've got Saka and Emil Rowe out there, I believe on the left. Like, we've seen it. So he knows what he needs to be done. He just can't or won't do it. And then, I always say either the coaches, coaching it or he's letting it happen. So if he's watching what's going on the field and he's okay with it, then he's letting that happen, and that can't be good. If they're not understanding what you're doing, then you need to dumb it down for them and make it easy for them to comprehend and implement. If they can't do what you're asking, then you need to change it. So there's multiple ways that the manager can help the players out when they're just not getting it done. It came out at halftime and didn't do anything different, so why would you expect it to get better? Uh, yeah, but Aubameyang, I think on the left is just a no-no for me. Put him up top if you can, but I don't think he fits there either. When the role that Arteta wants out of some of his players, he just doesn't give that to them right now. They spend all this money on him, but then they've changed their structure and the plan for how players work, especially for him, and it's just not working. So at some point, you're going to have to either figure out how to change your structure to get something better out of him, or you're going to have to let him go somehow if they can do that. I mean, who knows with that salary, but it's not working, so something has to change. Playing him over and over again isn't working. Doesn't make any sense either. You know. Next up, you've got Holding. Um, I've always say Holding is he always seems to be the first one to the scene of the accident that's about to happen or happened. He's always right there, front row, sees it all. Once again, he gets beat in the air. Is that just because of the perfect, placement by the cross coming in? Is that because the cross isn't the person the player who's putting the cross on isn't getting any pressure from our defense? Um, Goalkeeper maybe will catch it. I mean, all these things come into play, but at some point he's going to have to make a play, right? At some point he's going to have to make a play, and time again he just doesn't make that play. I always talk about a player who has to make that play. Leno's done that multiple times. Not today, not in our Liverpool game, but he's made that play where you can go, okay, yes, that's the one. Holding is always there watching it just happen around him, and he's never able to go out and make a good play on it. Um, so I don't, yeah, he just not a good game from him. Not sure, if that position is good for him, or maybe it's the Murray combination that needs to be there for him to play better. I think Gabriel needs somebody to look up to in terms of mentorship, and Holding isn't the right person, I don't think, for that. They don't seem to work together, and we see it on the field with their performances. Sometimes we get lucky, but I think in general, we can see why Louise is the better combination for Gabriel, and Marie and Holding actually were kind of working well together. They're not, but I don't think they're better than Louise and Gabriel. But if we're going to have to go and make changes, we need to make sure that the combinations work. If not, what's the point? Next up, we've got Chambers. Coming in, he looked really good playing out there, right? He looked really good playing out there on the right. Now, what he actually was the one player that made a play on that cross that came in to Jota, but he was just too far away to make a difference. So he saw it. Holding didn't. In general, I think once again when I looked at the lineup, the one thing I was saying to myself was, okay, how is that Chambers Holding combination on that side of the field going to work? Obviously not so good, not good at all. So I don't. So I think you've got, you know, just not a bad set of players on that back line altogether, especially when Tierney had to go. And just you got players either out of position. Cedric probably plays better on the right. He can do a job on the left, but against Liverpool, I think that's a big ask, especially with Mane and Salah out there on the wings attacking us. How in the world do we do that with our you know one a backup left back and a player who's just not up to the level as a Tierney when he's healthy. But for Chambers, yeah, I think he was kind of left out there alone a little bit in terms of with him being with Holding, and you just didn't get to see the best out of him. Yeah, so once again, another player, and most of the players I think today were kind of left out to dry based on the structure that was going on, and Liverpool taking advantage of everything that they got. So you've got you know, you had yeah, just kind of speechless a little bit because it just not good, just not good at all. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Yeah, that's it for the five. Nothing good. I mean, I might get into some of the other players that we had. Uh, I think Leno, I expected him to make some plays. He got his hand on the first header that came in, didn't do a good job there. He got basically one-on-one, the ball goes between his legs. Was it all his fault? No, but if he gets his hand on the ball, you expect it to not get in the goal. If you don't expect to get the ball to go between your legs either for a goal. So could he have made a difference? I think so if he was having a good game, but like everybody else, he just wasn't there. His long passing out, I think they made a concerted effort not to play out of the back, and I don't think we are a team that can handle that. One, because I don't think we can we can't play defense for 90 minutes. That's just not the way we're not set up that way. We we need to be able to take advantage of some of our players, getting the ball out to them with space so they can actually attack. Even if it's not for the whole game, but we definitely need to be able to give them something to play for, right? You need to give them some service, and it's hard when you're just kicking the ball long and all you're doing is coming back into defending over and over and over again. We didn't want to hold on to the ball. Even when we did make an interception, it would go right back to them. I don't think I think we spent so much time on our side of the field from a defensive side. It just was not good. Like I said, Ceballos really bad. Pepe non-existent. Lacazette coming back to support, not really supporting us either. And then when we do get the ball, he's I think probably out of position by that time. Tierney was okay. Some people say, when he's healthy, he plays. That's right. But he got an injury, and I don't know. I guess I'm looking at the tea leaves, and the last time we've had a player go on international break, have three really good games, play all 90 minutes, and all of them come back, they come up lame. Not necessarily related to the fact that they played, but it just seems to happen, and you know, nobody would have been upset if he sat. I mean, especially if you change your structure to kind of support that, right? Maybe you go three at the back just to kind of get a little bit more better defensive structure to hold on to get something out of this game. Um, yeah, and also Tierney is needed for Thursday, and now look where we are. This game is kind of important, but not that important, right? The Thursday, the two games against Prague, Slavia Prague are more important to us right now. Um, Getting something against Liverpool would have been nice, but I think we've missed so many opportunities prior to this that we're on a fine line here. Our margins are small, which has been the case all season. What else? What else? Yeah, that's it for the team. I think did Arteta get it right? Um, he may have, but I just don't think he gave them the right instructions, ones that they believed in and could implement. So he may have told them to do certain things. I just feel like he asked them to do some of the same things that our starting 11 can do, and I don't think they can, especially against a Liverpool team who's they're trying to get back to into form. Should he have played maybe more defensively? I think so. Would it have been negative? Who cares? Why should he care what we think? I think he should get the best out of the players that he has, especially based on how this game, could have gone, especially when you look at their lineup in their midfield. One of the telling signs of this game was I think Milner got two shots. I think Lacazette and Aubameyang, I don't know if they did. Definitely Aubameyang did not get a shot. So yeah, just how does that happen? And we keep talking about age. Milner's 35. Probably does a lot more work than Aubameyang does, right? And he got two shots off. I mean, we got lucky. None of them were close to the goal, but close enough to the goal to make put it on target. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, Cedric comes on for Tyranny, does an okay job, but we're not expecting much. We're not expecting Tyranny, so we gotta believe, take that take that with a grain of salt. El Neni coming in, I don't. I think I would have rather had him start and then make a change later on if things weren't working. You brought him in, you kind of essentially slowed the game down even worse for us, which is what you're going to get with El Neni. And Ceballos, even though he was crazy, I think if he was having a decent game, then it may have been a little bit better. But he was just off. By the time we put Martinelli in, game's over, 3-0. Why is he in? Why do we, if you're trying to chase the game, you bring him in early. At 3-0, why is he coming in? He's Martinelli. That just I don't understand that. If he's healthy to play, bring him in, give him 30 minutes, especially in a game where you're chasing points. Um, we just did not do that, and we paid for it. Anything else? Anything else? Yeah, yeah. Like I said, we missed Yaka and Luis. Would they have helped? I maybe not. Would they have maybe lessened the pain? Hopefully, hopefully. I mean, I think they would have. You know, if they were in, maybe the first half would look hopefully a lot different. Um, do I still want them to be replaced? Definitely, definitely. But if the best we got is them, then what's the point of not playing them? If you can play and you play them, and you realize when you don't have them, how far down you're going to go in terms of your performance, and we didn't take that into account when we set our team up. Um, there is no, I don't think there's any issue with going with defensive structure if that's what you feel like you have to do to get the game. We probably should have done that. Play on the counter. We barely played on the attack, even though that's kind of how we were set up. So, at some point you go, you know what, we're not attacking, so we can't get anything out there. So why don't we make sure we don't lose the game on the back end? And we didn't do that either. Um, Anything else you want to talk about? Like I said, I just think in terms of Arteta, I think he needs to cater to his players and get the best out of them, regardless the situation. And he didn't do that. Players need to play a little bit better. Either they're not listening or they can't do it, and if that's the case, they have to change. But we've seen them play good, so we've seen them play good, better. So, what was it? Is it the mentality coming in? Who knows? All right, so I think that's it for the game. I've done as much talking as I can. Hopefully, you've enjoyed what I had to say. Remember to hit the like, make any comments that you have, and subscribe and turn on notifications, and I will talk to you on the next one. All right. Thank you.